Hey!
Hi!
Welcome to Scripts and Giggles with Shoshanna
and Marnie.
So, this week was actually really fun because for the first time in a very long time, we went to a work event together.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's really talk about it.
It's very rare that me and you have a work event in the same place.
Yeah.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, I was your plus one. So,
yeah. I think that it was very nice, actually. It's so rare that I'm at a work event with a friend.
Yeah.
At my old job, because I was friends with my colleagues, more
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But now it's like, ooh, a little bit. Because you're like, you don't really know each other that well. So
Yeah.
suddenly you're like, remind me again, you live in London? Like, you're just like asking each other really basic questions.
Yeah.
Whereas we didn't have to do that.
No,
which was nice.
we were able to just tag team, and also like when you're networking, at least you know there's someone with you.
Yeah, we did a lot of networking.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot.
Not a lot. I think we tried.
We spoke to people.
We did, yeah. But I think it's always nice to know that there's someone there when you when you feel like the I was gonna say the pot has dried out of people you can talk to.
Ooh, I've never heard that phrase. The pot is drying up.
No, it's not. The more like the people that you can potentially speak to are also speaking to other people.
Yeah,
So-
there was a lot of like waiting for people to be free, which I hate. Actually, I don't
Yeah.
like that. I have a question though.
Yeah.
Do you think that I was my normal self? Or do you think did I have my little work hat on? Was I different? Is my question. I thought about that afterwards. I was like, I guess we never see each other in work mode.
No, and I think everyone's work mode is a little bit different.
You were definitely fake.
I know I was putting on a bit more work mode because I was at work.
No, it was really funny because it was just like, I just feel both of us are being like,
No, I know.
like
I wasn't.
sociable.
I wasn't. I was really nervous.
No, I think.
I love it. You are fake.
No. That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was hyperbole.
Goodness me.
Sorry, some of us went to school.
I know.
Some of us have vocab. In year 11 vocab. I didn't. I guess I got the. I did get the feeling you were nervous, but I guess it also felt like just a little bit of that, like. I don't know. I feel like at work you do that. You're like.
You're a bit more giggly, yeah. But
And like, oh yeah, I love the hors d'oeuvres were great. Like just chatting shit. Like talking about absolute shit. Do I remember? There was a conversation. It was like, yeah, you know, having a kid and working so hard, and the other person was like, yeah, I've got a 2 and a 6-year-old. So difficult. And we were like, yeah.
You just nod and smile like, oh, I understand.
It must be so difficult.
Like,
it must be so difficult. But I'm thinking in my head, being like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking
No,
about.
I can empathise with some of the struggles. But
I can empathise with my examples, like, yeah, because you know how sometimes you just like you don't want to cook. You just want to get a delivery, but you've actually already spent £200 this week on delivery, so you're thinking, I probably should get another delivery. Do you know? And they're just looking at you like you're absolutely crazy.
Mad. I was like, whereas my childcare costs £400 a week.
You're like, yeah, I get that, because sometimes I spend like 50 quid on my nails, and that is like an expense. I'm like, money, you can't keep doing this. You know, you've gotta take your life more seriously. You gotta think about your family.
I think in those environments, especially for me, I know that I will feel a bit nervous, so I feel like I have to like pump myself up to go up to people and speak to them, especially people that you don't know.
I think you handled it really well.
But I know I put a bit more energy in. Oh, a different type of energy when I'm speaking to them. But also when I'm with you and my friends, I don't need to, be polished. I just come as my natural self.
You're the most raggedy, unput together person.
But I think
misspeaking, don't know how to speak English properly all of a sudden. Then all of a sudden, oh, what's this at work event? You're using your best English. I've never even heard you use these words in my life.
But I think also is the fact that at work they do say like, bring your most authentic self to work. And
I won't be doing that.
some people, if they brought their authentic self to work, they won't have a job for long. Yeah. But I do think I'm trying to bridge the gap, like bring as much as I possibly can in a workplace environment.
Listen,
but
all jokes aside,
but keeping it professional.
All jokes aside, I think seem like a very delightful person.
Likewise, you seemed a lot nicer than.
Do you know what's, it's really funny because I think if we would been at an event where it had been like more writers and like execs, you would hear a lot of people telling you how lovely I was, and you'd be really surprised.
Yes. Do you know what?
So many people would be like, she's just the loveliest person I've ever met.
Would have been like cracking up.
Sweetest person I've ever met. We spoke for hours. It felt like I was talking to an old friend, and I'd be like, I had such a good time with you, and then you'd just be like, what are you guys talking about?
Like,
she's the worst person.
I'm like, I've known this one for 2 decades basically, and I've never seen the nice.
We've known each other for 2 decades, and I genuinely think for the first decade
you
I wasn't quite
me.
sure about you. Just not quite sure about her.
Oh god! But I would say that I think again, I've been with you at different events. At this particular event, I think you were a little bit different. You brought more of your feminine energy.
Not me being femme at work.
But if we're in an event where it's more like in a not club, but in a more social setting that is not work related and that there's potential people of the opposite sex, I don't think your femme energy would come that much. I think it'd be more like, I'm gonna neg you to the
Do you know what it is?
so I can neg no more.
I feel like at work events sometimes I am fangirling.
Yeah.
And do you know what that is? Fangirl, feminine energy.
Yeah.
I like there were people there who I'm like a little bit about.
But it didn't come off like that.
No, of course I'm really carrying myself with panache.
Bro,
I'm a really great poker face, you'd never know. But
not humility though.
No, none of that, and I never will have that. But it's one of the things that makes me so charming. I met someone today who was in a Netflix show, quite a big Netflix show.
Ooh.
And I was like, are we not going to talk about this? I just don't get it. No, I do get it. Because we were there to talk about something else, but I'm just like...
But that's when you say,
You're a famous person.
Yeah, then you just say, I love your work in X show.
Oh, no, I'm going to give them a compliment.
You're not?
No, we're not American. We don't do that.
Yeah.
I was also talking to an agent today who's American, and she was saying, like, it's so natural for Americans to compliment people.
Yeah.
And here people are always just like...
Yeah, I think it's...
What do you mean by that?
The standoff, cold nature of Britain. It's the weather.
I'm not gonna lie. At work, when people compliment me, I'm like, "What's the deal?"
Yeah. It's like, what do you want?
What did you break?
Yeah.
Where is this going? What's the bad news?
I don't even know how to respond. Like, do you say thank? I mean, of course you say thank you, but then usually when people compliment you, like if they say, "Oh, I like your jumper," yes, from Primark.
I usually say no. Specifically when you compliment me, I would say.
Yeah, and I compliment her quite a lot, and I'm like, no humility, and then also like, not even return the favour.
I don't know. See, I don't believe in that. You got a compliment from your heart.
No, I'm not.
It says that in the Bible.
Yeah. Thank you, dare try to out-Bible me.
In the Bible it says, don't give a compliment expecting one back.
No, I do.
I don't know what verse it is in the chapter, but I believe that that feels Christian to me.
It does. I mean, there's definitely the whole, like, love one another as God loves the church.
Exactly. It's unconditional. You're asking for a condition, which is compliment me back.
No, perfectly honest, I don't need a compliment back.
You do.
No, I don't, because I know I'm alright.
This is the first time you've actually mentioned it, and so I feel like you do need it.
No.
Going forward, I will compliment you.
No, because I know it's not genuine.
Here is a compliment for Shoshanna. She made plantain. That is my compliment to you is that was very, very neighbourly of you.
Wow. But then,
like
then when I brought the plantain, you were like, "Where's my peanut butter?"
Yeah, where was the peanut butter?
Sound
off in the comments.
But I'm not Ghanaian.
Peanut butter and plantain.
To me, it just doesn't make sense. It's like literally me coming up to you with jollof rice and you asking for ketchup. That's how. Yeah, that's how random it sounded. That's how it sounded in my head.
No, now you're just being crazy.
I'm not being crazy, but I'm just saying that's how it sounded in my head when you said, "Where's the peanut butter?"
It's not. It's more like if you have a jollof and you ask for stew.
That's not a bad thing. I'm like, yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
No.
Because let's not sit here and say you can't eat jollof by itself. You can.
Yeah.
But you can also have stew as an addition. Ooh.
Yeah, but to be perfectly honest, if someone said, you can have another condiment on the side to this plantain, my first thing would be beans, stew,
and I said beans.
I'm like, what? Do you think
coleslaw?
Do you think I'm
but
some
not
chef?
Peanut butter.
Why is peanut butter in the equation?
Why is coleslaw in the equation?
Because it's nice.
Are you dipping the plantain in the coleslaw?
You eat them together.
No.
Like
what I'm talking about is a dip.
Again, this is when we acknowledge that we are from different parts of Africa, West Africa. I always used to assume that Nigerian and Ghanaian we're basically the same, but we're just beefing over jollof. But really and truly, over not even just jollof, over just like minute details.
Long.
Yeah, exactly. Just different
long.
technique, different cooking techniques. That's why we're arguing. But actually, we legit have different type of food.
Yeah.
We do.
We have some foods that are the same and some foods that are very different.
Yeah.
We're different countries.
We are. I think
we speak different languages.
We wear different types of clothing.
Yup.
We dance in different ways.
Well,
our men look different.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Yeah, I have commentary about this later on in the show.
Ooh. Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Shall we get to pop culture news?
Yeah. So you know when we said last week we'll revisit Kanye? I was assuming that will be like in a month, 2 months, end of the year wrap up type of thing. But we actually have more news about Kanye. Probably more serious news. Since then.
Kanye. It's a wrap.
It's done.
It's a wrap. And do you know what? I shouldn't say that because it doesn't feel like it's a wrap. Because so the timeline is Kanye spouts
anti-Semitic
messages.
Yeah.
The heads of 3 major agencies in LA write a letter, like an open letter, and are like, to everyone that works with Kanye, if you continue to work with Kanye, we will make it very difficult for you to work with any of our other clients. Most of the people that work with Kanye cannot afford to alienate 3 major, I think it was CAA, WME, and someone else. I can't remember, I'd have to look it up. But definitely WME and CAA, I think.
Who are talent agencies.
So they look after actors, directors, sports people, just like everyone who is talent.
Yeah.
And very, very quickly, people started posting there, we stand with the Jewish community and we don't stand with Kanye. His bank.
Oh, yes, his bank.
His bank said, we're cutting ties. Please think about how crazy that is to just find out your bank won't let you bank with them anymore.
That's actually terrifying. And you know...
Genuinely.
At that point, Kanye was a billionaire, so...
Yes, he had a lot of money.
He had a lot of money, but...
Who else?
Kim Kardashian.
Oh, very...
quick and swift, because the minute people were like, Kim, how are you not speaking up about this?
So someone was talking about this at work and they said she shouldn't have done that. And I said, you're forgetting that Kim Kardashian is a business first and foremost. And would I risk my business for a man I'm not even married to anymore?
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
No, I think they're still in the divorce, but she wants that divorce quickly and wrapped up as quick as possible so she can separate herself from him. It is so ironic. If you told me this 10 years ago, I would have laughed because Kim relies so heavily on Kanye. And let's be honest, Kanye was instrumental in bringing her career from sex tape star, reality star to now an icon. And I hate to say it, an icon, a fashion icon. He was the one who got her on Vogue, for instance.
What about Skims? She did that by herself.
She did that by herself, but she got that point. By that point, she released Skims. She had multiple businesses, had multiple learnings, and I think, I'm not saying that it was Kanye. He's got some stake in it. But,
for sure.
But that was definitely her own thing. But I don't think it would have been as successful if she didn't get to the point of her career that she had got to by the time she released Skims. Because actually, Skims was supposed to be called something called Kimono, and there was a massive lawsuit. Oh no, there was a massive backlash around it because of cultural appropriation.
Literally.
And then she changed it to Skims.
How did she think it was going to be okay to name her label Kimono?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's absolutely wild. Anyway.
Sorry, side note, but let's go back.
This isn't about Kim. It's about the post that she made, which was, I stand with the Jewish community. I do not condone these messages. Leave me out of it, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
When I saw that, I said, ugh, it's fucked now.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't think I knew about all the things that had already happened, like all the people who had already started to cut ties with him. I saw that and I was like, well, if they haven't started to cut ties, they're going to start to cut ties now. For your wife, the person who should know you best in the world, ex-wife, should I say, to be like, I can't back you on this.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah. I saw Balenciaga was one of the first.
Mm-hmm.
Gap. But him and Gap
exactly, they were already in attempts.
Yeah. But then I started seeing the calls for Adidas. And Adidas...
I saw several calls for Adidas.
Yeah. Adidas is the big one because of Yeezys, which is parts and is distributed via Adidas. And then when Adidas cut ties, but they only cut ties with him, but not not the Yeezys, that's when everything... Well, I don't think everything changed, but I think it was very clear that is the nail in the coffin of his cancellation. Plus, his net worth, which was $1 billion,
plummeted,
went down to 400 million, and Forbes was ready. They had the article
plummeted.
Exactly. They had the article ready in drafts, ready to just press send when it was done. Because also Kanye criticised Forbes for not calculating it properly.
So I have been watching this sort of half-heartedly, just being like, well, we said this last week, you can't just be saying anything in the world. But I saw a tweet today that said Donda's closed for the rest of the academic year.
Oh, the academy you were talking about last week, yeah.
Donda Academy, which I only found out about last week, is closed. So for me, it's only existed for a week. For the rest of the academic year, apparently they're going to restructure and refocus and start again in September of 2023, which to me, pack it up.
No, it also means that when they do launch, Kanye would not be part of it.
Don't know how they can really separate themselves from him. Yeah, not sure how he can really separate himself from Donda after it's named after his mum.
No, I think they can still put it in his honour. He'll be one of those like silent investors or like the honorary chairman type of things that have no stake in the actual academy or institution. He's just there in name alone.
My question then on this, because I also don't think this is dumb, and I don't know if I said this last week, but my feelings this week are that I'm a little bit worried now. I was worried last week, but I'm a little bit more worried that, like, he might hurt himself.
Yeah.
And all the fury is absolutely warranted. He can't just be out saying whatever he wants. But if he were to hurt himself, everyone would be like, how did this happen? Yeah. Like, I get it. It's really tricky. It's super tricky because someone's decision to do something like that cannot be solely based on other people. But equally, is it nice for your bank to cut ties with you? Yeah. Things that you need, shall we say.
Your livelihood. I think it's probably more likely, if he doesn't hurt himself, which I pray he doesn't, is that he will either be sectioned. I think that's happened before.
Which he needs to be.
And he'll be taken to some type of wellness facility, rehab. Another side note, so I've watched this I used to watch this American talk show host, radio personality called Wendy Williams, and
I don't think that's exactly what we were talking about, but I was like, why would you describe her as this American talk show host?
I don't know where our audience...
It's Wendy Williams.
Wendy Williams, who I loved. I used to watch her show, her Hot Topics every day. And basically, as a viewer and a fan, we could see that her mental health, her health in general was declining. Like, over the last few years, she collapsed on stage. She started becoming incoherent. She actually announced that she was in a sober house at one point due to addiction, which is what she suffered with addiction earlier in her career and in her life. And then now they ended her show. She wasn't able to come to the last season of the whole show, so they had guest host for a whole year, keeping that show alive, and they had to finish the show and replace her. And now she is in and out of wellness facilities. And every time she gets in public or she decides to go on and have an interview, she still doesn't sound 100% there. She sounds not incoherent, but she sounds like she's just not 100% right or
not
well.
herself.
So her story is sounding very reminiscent of Kanye, but also is like we're seeing the start of that decline, which is what we saw with Wendy. So I hope that he does have the opportunity, whether that's voluntary or involuntarily, getting checked into some type of facility to help him go through this period of his life and help him with the treatment that he really needs to get him through this episode or this period, and address some of the issues that probably has been festering for a while, but we have not seen it in public eye. But now, with all the interviews he's had, with all the public statements, all the podcasts he's been on, we are now seeing it. But I think this has been bubbling up for a while. His inner circle may have known it, but now it's got to the stage now the public knows it.
My question was why I also got sidelined in the midst of my question. This will happen on this podcast. My question is, do you think he can come back from this?
Never say never. That's
not a good enough answer. You need an opinion. This is
my opinion. We were talking about this offline about Nick Cannon, who has had a very similar brush with controversy with anti-Semitic comments that he made, I think, on a podcast or on an interview, and he went through a period of going on an apology tour with rabbis and members of the Jewish community. And I'm not saying he was welcomed back with open arms, because he was fired from one of the Fox shows. I don't want to say the Masked Singer or the Masked Dancer, but he was fired from a Fox show. But he's still on television now. He did the apologies, which people did call him out to do. They told him, you need to apologise, you need to go and educate yourself, which he said he would. Look, I don't know what he's done behind the scenes, apart from what we saw publicly with those apologies. And things are, for him, he's not been completely cancelled. He is still working, he's still making money, he's still popping babies. This guy, he's still out there and he's not fully cancelled. I'm not going to say we're never going to forget, because I've just used him as an example, but I do think you can come back. And can we also just talk about Mel freaking Gibson?
Yeah, but he never came back.
I mean, he never came back in the same level.
He never came back. I've not heard from that man since. And name a blockbuster film that has come out in theatres in the last 10 years that's had Mel Gibson attached to it.
I actually have no idea.
Passion of Christ is the last thing I can think of.
Wasn't that around the time of?
And he was a producer.
Yeah.
He or the director. He was the crew of that.
Yeah,
rather than the starred in it. You're right. It was, I think, around the time that came out, that those tapes came out.
Yeah.
And honestly, he never came back from it.
I don't.
For me, at least, I haven't seen that man.
I still think that he's still part of Hollywood, just not in the same vein as what he was before, and he definitely doesn't have the same star power. But I don't think he's 100% cancelled, never seen the light of day type of thing.
I'm sure he will again.
But I think Kanye may come back, but I just don't think he will ever come back to be the Ye he believes he's supposed to be.
I think that there are lots of people who get quote unquote cancelled whose lives are actually not affected in any way.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe in the Mel Gibson thing, he's living his life perfectly fine. Yeah. For me, it's almost like he's been erased from history.
Yeah.
We don't talk about him. Yeah. I've not seen him. Things that he was famous for, those have dropped from the zeitgeist. Even Braveheart used to be a thing that people talked about quite a bit. I don't hear people talk about it anymore. It's gone. Kevin Spacey, similar person.
No, but
he's gone. No, he headed up a film a couple of months ago.
What?
People were trying to bring him back, and then it was no, it's too soon. But I loved House of Cards.
Yes.
I went back and tried to watch episode 1 recently, and I couldn't divorce the Kevin Spacey in real life from the Kevin Spacey in the show, because they're not that different now. And I don't see Kevin Spacey coming back. I would say this to say that cancellation can affect people in really different ways. Aziz got cancelled, and then he's got a comedy special on Netflix.
Yeah.
But then Louis C.K.
Never seen him, yeah.
Can't come back in the same way.
No. I think there's just a couple of things that impacts your cancellation. I can't believe we're in this world where we have to rate and gauge the types of cancellation. But I think one is to do with money, because if this person has got cancelled and they are well off, which a lot of them end up being because they're celebrities, some of them don't ever have to work again.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, they don't, because they've made their money in their career, and basically they never have to do a film in their life. They never have to be on a show or a comedy special because they've got the money. So even though it will impact their status, their fame, which for some of them is of course is important for them, they're settled and they're gonna be okay, quote unquote. The second thing is time, because like you said, when I didn't even know Kevin Spacey was trying to like gnaw his way back in.
He's in the midst of it. He's currently, as of like this week, going through his second trial.
You see, so the fact that he was trying to gnaw his way back in, it's not been that long since all the news came out. I know people think it's been so long ago. It's been a couple of years, more than a couple of years, but it's not been that long for people to quote unquote forget what you did. And I think there are some people who do give it the time. Like Aziz, he went underground for some time. I think he did a couple of things behind the scene, like producing. I think he continued with Masters of
that got shelved for a while, and then during the pandemic, a new season came out. That season didn't barely. I think he's in one episode maybe, or didn't include him at all.
Yeah,
and
because it was a new story. It was a Lena Waithe story.
Yeah, but Lena Waithe was in it. It was Lena Waithe's character became sort of a main character in it. And Naomi Aki was absolutely brilliant, but he is an exec producer online. He made money from that. We're not going to sit here and say he didn't.
No, here's the thing. It's about money. But yeah, he took the time before he decided to come back. Some of the things that you cannot turn back from, and it's going to be scarred in public memory, and you will never be able to come back. But there's some people who have. I was going to say Britney, but Britney wasn't cancelled. She went through a very public mental breakdown. Actually, you know what? Britney is a perfect example. You can come back.
Yeah, but Britney's thing affected Britney. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If Kanye were just tweeting about, I love my wife and she won't date me, we almost aborted our daughter but we didn't, and that was the extent of it, he could absolutely come back from it. It's where he's having his children wear White Lives Matter t-shirts on the runway. It's where he's saying anti-Semitic comments on podcasts, in messages that he's then posting. That stuff is really hard to come back from, because it's gone from a thing that you're experiencing to a thing that we all have to experience.
I 100% agree. And that should be the third factor, is the impact.
Yeah, 100% it's the impact.
The impact of who you have affected, and that has caused your cancellation. And then the fourth thing I was now going to say was the fans. Because, goodness me, initially it was supposed to be 2 factors, now I've doubled it.
This has now become 4 factors.
A 4-point list. But the 4th factor is the fans, and how willing are quote-unquote fans, especially hardcore fans, to forgive. Because Kanye has a massive fan base. Hardcore fans who have seen his controversy over many, many years. And some of them will take him back with open arms. He will drop an album and they'll be like, it doesn't matter. Or they'll continue to buy the Yeezys, or they'll continue to support his views. And it's not to say that he's not going to be able to come back in the public eye, like the mass society, but he's still going to have a fan base. But it's going to be a bit more controversial, like the Tucker Carlsons, like we were talking about last week, the Alex Jones, the Katie Hopkins, that kind of flipping Piers Morgan. Like, it's going to have that type of... It's not going to be widespread. It's not going to be able to cross over like he had before.
I just think that if Kanye is going through a manic episode or any type of mental health issue, first and foremost, he needs support and he needs help for that. I feel like we also collectively do not think about the impact that we have in gobbling up stories like this, in perpetuating situations. So, we forgot to mention, after Adidas basically dropped Kanye, he turned up randomly at the Skechers headquarters to try and get a meeting there to try and do Yeezy Part 2 at Skechers, and they escorted him off the property. I saw a tweet recently, I saw one tweet of that, but I saw another tweet that said Skechers is owned by a Jewish family, and I was like, I don't really know why you need to include this information, because I think everyone has decided he's a pariah, we're not dealing with him. But mentioning that it's a Jewish family just feels like you're saying that they only did it because they were Jewish, but fair enough. He then met with the... TMZ met him outside, and he was like, great, let's have a press conference. And I feel like all of these people that are making money off this Kanye situation, all the people that keep pushing him in front of cameras, pushing him in front of microphones, like using this situation for entertainment are exacerbating a situation that should not be entertainment. And it worries me that the conclusion to a situation like this, where we're egging it on as the media, I say we, I'm not personally, you're not personally, but what I mean is that, like, people can't stop tweeting about it, it is a story, is that we're going to push this person to breaking point for the story and then turn around and be like, how did he get here? How did this happen? It's like, what do you mean? You're part of the problem. It's almost like, imagine if he'd broken his hip and was in hospital and TMZ was in there at his bed. We would all be like, that's disgusting, don't do that. But if someone is in the street having a mental breakdown, we're like, oh, this is fine. This is a story. And I don't know.
A celebrity
I just don't
culture.
think we've done... I don't think... We've seen it happen to so many of our icons that we push them and push them and push them, and then something bad happens and then we turn around and be like, be kind, guys, be kind. But we still gobble up all of these stories. We gobble them up and we prop up companies like... I mean, TMZ should stop existing. It should have stopped existing a long time ago.
I don't know
but here we are.
Fueling it. Who is it? Even if I was looking for entertainment or like that, if I was looking for news in that field, TMZ isn't the place I will go.
TMZ's not a place. I've never gone on to TMZ.
TMZ only became big because they kept on breaking news, big controversies.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, people were spinning it and leaking it to them anyway.
That part of celebrity culture is incredibly problematic, and I feel like we forget that there are real people at the heart of them, and we may, like, this may fizzle out now. Like, Kanye might go, oops, went too far, gotta collect myself. But he might still be in the midst of this thing, keep going, and there might be further ways in which the situation gets worse, and we are sort of like, it's, you know, it feels like we're watching a car crash happen in slow motion, and I don't know at what point somebody steps in.
I perfectly honest, it needs to be someone in his inner circle. I don't
think it's us.
It's not us, no. And I mean, the public can say you need help, but if someone doesn't actually go up to Kanye, or if Kanye doesn't go up to himself and be like, look, we need to sort things out because things aren't right, and it's not because Balenciaga cut me off or it's because Adidas decided to take my Yeezys. No, I need to fix myself because I mean it's not right. And he's not just impacting himself, he's impacting his family, and it's impacting so much worse things in this mental state.
He's done so much.
Yeah.
For this to be the thing to unravel him at this point just feels so, like, unbelievably sad. I
read an article about him and it said that, you know, with these comments alone, he has destroyed 10 years.
10 years? It's been more than 10 years. No, I mean,
especially in the fashion industry. He's destroyed 10 years of his career. He's taken himself back 10 years to where he was. Because, again, I was talking about in the previous episode that had watched a documentary about, you know, his rise to fame and how he was just desperate to be recognised and acknowledged and respected in the fashion industry. And he built himself up to be seen as, you know, a name in the industry, you know, and everything has now just crumbled. So
our last words on this are, Kanye, get it together.
We pray for you.
We are.
I'm praying for everyone around you. Also
the Jewish community, it's unpleasant.
Yeah.
It's unpleasant to always feel like eventually this will come up.
Yeah.
How many times do we need to have the same conversations? How many times does the same comment need to get made? It's not nice. And I also pray for the black community because we feel like we've been sort of pressing the alarm. It feels like, imagine you're stuck in a lift. I don't talk about lifts again. But I have got the lift this week. I've got the lift this week and felt like I might get... Oh, I did get stuck again.
Oh, Marnie!
I won't mention it. We don't need to talk about it now, but I did get stuck in the lift again. It feels like the black community have been pressing the alarm in that trapped lift for a while, and nobody's come to get us out of the lift. And we've been saying, "Oh, dude's not okay. Oh, dude's not okay. This is not okay. This isn't okay." And people have been like, "It's fine. We can buy Yeezys, so it's fine." And now suddenly, more people have become wise to the idea that this isn't okay. And it feels like if someone had listened to us when we said he's not okay, we might not have had to get here.
Yeah.
So that's my last words on that.
I mean, I think we'll still keep up with the story because
We've got no choice.
We've got no choice, but I think it's with the hope that things change for him for the better. And from a purely a mental health standpoint, I don't care about the businesses or the money.
Neither do I.
I want him to get well because it's very, very apparent and very clear that he is not okay. And, you know, when you say things, the ramifications of that is what we're seeing now. But, just pray for him.
Speaking of saying things that have ramifications, I love you. I know it's only been 40 minutes, but I love you. And I just want to shout it from the rooftops. Will you marry me? If you can't guess what I am parodying here, it is Love is Blind. And we're about to get into our main review of the episode, which is season 3 of Love is Blind. So, Love is Blind is a dating reality TV show where the idea is that you will date, as in go on dates with several people whom you cannot see. So, the idea is to put connection, it's connection forward. If maths was sex forward in the end, if Love Island is sex forward, like Love is Blind is the exact opposite, where you're connecting on upbringing and what you want your marriage to be and faith and all of those things. And then if you find someone who you think, I really like this person, I think this is the person I want to marry, you then get to see them. And once you see them, you then embark on the rest of the experiment with them, which is that you go on a honeymoon together to some sort of lovely tropical place, and then you move into an apartment with them, you meet each other's families, and then you get married. So unlike Married at First Sight, where realistically you could say no at the where you could say no before the experiment even starts, you have to walk down the aisle on Love is Blind. And that's when you make your decision, which is so messy. So messy. It's for that moment. Yeah. Honestly, it's literally for the moment of, you don't know up until that moment who's going to say yes and who's going to say no. Yeah, it's like when, is it Damien from series 1 that said no? Giannina. And that was, and then she ran and then she slipped and fell on her backside with her dress covered in mud. That is the moment that the producers want, honestly. So, Giannina was absolutely brilliant. Great TV. I think we should emphasise they need to be engaged so they actually get proposed to behind a wall. One of you has to get down on one knee. Often it's the man, weirdly. Giannina did, Giannina did it. Usually it's the man, unless you're Giannina, who is a boss and does what she wants to do because she's a TV show character first and foremost. But without the proposal you can't move to the next stage, essentially. Have we said Love is Blind is a Netflix show yet? No, we haven't. Love is Blind is a Netflix show. Love is Blind is a Netflix show. I know that Shoshanna was really excited because she did famously say she wants to go on Love is Blind. I didn't say I want to go on it. She said she had applied. No. And they had rejected her all 3 seasons. No, I did say that out of all the reality dating shows, Love is Blind is a show that I would go on because, and it's all based on series 1, but because I love the format in terms of stripping back the physical appearance, really just get into the heart of knowing someone before you see them and having that connection. I just like the format, and I think series 1 showed that it could work because out of the 4 or 5 couples that started, 2 of them are still together almost 3 years on, I think. So plus I just thought it was a really great experiment, and that's why I liked it. And unfortunately over the past, all the consequent seasons have really prioritised that drama over the romance. So you're saying this current season has prioritised drama over romance? So far. We're going to review the first 7 episodes, and there's only 12. When they said in the final 7th episode, 11 days till the wedding, I said, huh? Why does it feel like the first season had so many more episodes? Or like so much more time to build? That's what I was thinking. And maybe they've shortened it. Or also, does it not feel like perhaps there's too many couples?
No, because I thought that was too little.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, we have to. Let's get into it. And I think what we'll do is review each couple. I was going to say based on the timings of when they got together, but we're just going to just go with a random couple, have a chat, and then maybe some overarching thoughts at the end. But the first couple we're going to talk about... Actually, maybe I should just flag this one other thing. Love is Blind Series 3 is based in Dallas.
Yes.
So I think at the moment with each season they go to a specific place. So I think it's a positive in comparison.
I think it's really smart. Yeah. I think it's much smarter than
Married at First Sight.
Yeah, where they're like, you're from Scotland and you're from, Plymouth. We've forced you to spend 10 weeks together, and then we're expecting you to figure out how you're gonna continue this relationship when you have whole lives that that exist in completely different areas of the country.
Yeah. So there is that. So everyone's kind of in the same vicinity. And the second thing, which maybe just some trivia, was that Series 2 and Series 3 was filmed in very close timings.
Right.
So actually the couples from Series 3 would not have seen or watched Series 2 or the outcome of Series 2.
That is interesting.
So just keep that in mind. But from what I know is that both seasons were done quite quickly, which is why we've been able to have basically 2 seasons in 1 year.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a question, but more of an observation. Why don't they reuse the people that don't match?
That's where you have to get the all-stars. That's what you do it later on.
Because it feels like such a waste. Like a casting waste to get all of these characters in, decide on 4 couples, and then just bin those people off, and then do it again next season when you can just sort of bring them back and then bring in a new batch of people and see if they mix better.
But I think part of it is, one, the location, because I think they are keen to try in different places, which I think keeps the show fresh. And also, it's America, so like each state feels like its own country. So this is like Love is Blind Dallas is like the equivalent of like Love is Blind Japan or Love is Blind Brazil. That's why I feel like you need to have it in different states. The other thing was from Series 1, it was I think it was news that there was actually more than the 4 or 5 couples that matched, but they didn't keep all the couples. One, because they didn't anticipate that there was going to be so many matches, which is hilarious because it was a new series, a new format. They weren't expecting so many couples to match.
They should have been prepared.
Well, they wouldn't have known. It was a completely brand new experiment.
But they should have just shown them all. I think it's more TV, surely.
It's more TV, but I think it's also like the logistics, because they only had the apartments with certain numbers. They only had like
budgets.
The budgets as well. Yeah, so I do think for the people that were unmatched, we don't even know if they were unmatched, quote unquote, or they became couples, but they just weren't chosen.
This season, we have a new spate of couples, and why don't we get straight into them?
So the first couple we're going to start with is Alexa and Brennon. So Alexa is a...
rich bitch. Honestly, that's the quickest description of a rich bitch.
I was going to say influencer.
Her dad's house was cash.
I mean, money became a very important conversation. Yeah. To the point where she was like, we're going to have a prenup.
When she said, I don't reuse outfits, I said, she must have money.
Yeah, of course.
She said she bins clothes after she wears them once.
What?
I've never heard of that in my life.
We were not introduced first to Alexa because of her money, but more from her appearance and her figure. So Alexa would probably describe herself as a plus size
curvy girl.
A curvy girl, yeah. And I think the soundbite was like, I could
lose weight, but I don't necessarily want to.
Yeah. So that was how we were introduced to her. And then Brennon was this kind of, I would say cowboy, because he was wearing a cowboy hat from most of episode 1.
And Alexa sort of refers to him as her cowboy a lot.
Exactly. And I think he works in like waste management, which I think makes
cowboy.
Waste management, cowboy.
No.
I'm sure he makes some coin, but definitely not in the same vein as Alexa.
Alexa has money.
Yeah.
Like, I know I said rich bitch and we lost. She has cash.
Yeah.
Like, she says she has no bills in her apartment. Do you remember? She was like, basically, my bills in my apartment are my online shopping. That's not a bill.
No, and
that's a luxury. And then she was like, come and meet my parents. The minute she opened that door, if I was Brennan, I would have said, let me turn my ass home. Let me turn my ass around and walk back out of here, because You didn't tell me you was this rich.
No, I mean, it was a shock.
I think the interesting thing about this season is there are quite a few women who are established and quite a few men who are not.
Definitely not. Absolutely not. We're going to go into some of them, but...
What are your thoughts about Alexa and Brennon?
Oh, okay. I'm going to just start from the beginning, because when we were introduced to Alexa, I got more of a humble girl who lived a luxurious life, but deep down she wants to find love. And Brennan, he was one of my favourites. He still is, because I felt this genuine want for him to find someone and to commit with and build a life, build a family with. He was giving me Cameron vibes from series 1, if I'll be honest. But
that's a big compliment.
That is a
from
massive
Shoshanna.
That's a massive
Cameron
compliment.
is absolutely bae.
He is. He's lovely, and so I definitely was feeling that this could be a potential couple. But then when I saw them as a couple and saw them connecting, and they had some really serious conversations over like food.
They did.
Yeah, the connection was like, oh, what's your favorite thing to make? It was like shakshuka.
And then she said, you can make shakshuka?
Yeah.
She doesn't speak like that. No, it was really bad impression of her.
But I mean, there were other things they connected on, but
She actually said after that shakshuka moment, should we just get married now?
Yeah, I mean, some of
that was the very first time that they'd met.
Yeah,
pretty much the very first
time.
Some
of it was a bit eager, but it's the experiment, and they know that they only have like 2 weeks to get to know each other.
Was it low-key romantic?
I thought there was a connection. That being said, because they got together quite quickly, again, and they were the first couple to get engaged, it was giving me also the same vibes of Nick and Danielle. And I was like, that's all well and good, because I really believe that they were connecting, but I was thinking that her concerns over her weight, which I don't think
are a problem.
It wasn't a problem for her, and I was feeling that the show was trying to position that as a problem, but it wasn't. And also, I was thinking, oh my goodness, when the doors are open and he only finds out then that she is maybe a little bit curvier than he would be used to, I thought that would be an issue. That was absolutely not. And I assumed that they had a conversation either in the pods, but it wasn't aired. So that was...
There was also a point where he says, really early on when they go back to when the like boys' quarters, girls' quarters, he says, I like spicy girls.
But that could mean anything.
I like spicy girls. I think that he was sort of set. He would have been set on her regardless.
Yeah. But that's my big take about this couple.
Okay.
I think that Brennan is incredibly invested in her, but we have not been able to see why he's so invested in her. Like he's like devoted to her.
He spoke quite nicely about her at her parents' house to me.
Yeah, no, he did, and everything that she said, he's like, yes, he's very amenable to it. Like the prenup thing is like, write wherever you want in the document and I'll sign. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because he definitely
practical.
Cares. Yeah, he's very practical.
I think he knows who he is. And I think he's understood who she is. And we're not about to play a game where I'm like, no, because he must be aware that she has money.
Yeah, that's the thing. I assume he does, but I'm just concerned, especially from what I saw in the previews, that it's not all as it seems.
Yeah.
And I do think that Alexa may have doubts, and there was a few cracks in terms of like conversation around family and how Alexa speaks to her family, the way that they kind of like easily just cuss at each other. They're very transparent, very raw, and Brendan was like, he's a bit taken aback and he's a bit quieter. But regardless of some of their differences, I do think that there is a potential for them to build a committed relationship / marriage. I don't know how long it will last, but I do have hope for this couple. So you can continue.
I have a 1 minute rebuttal.
Go on.
It's not really a rebuttal. I think that all the couples, they're probably the most poised to make it, simply because I think Brennan is very amenable. He just seems like if I was going to be matched with any of the guys on there, I'd want it to be him, because he just seems the most like he's got his listening ears on. And I feel like he's the most in it in terms of like, I've come here to find a wife and I'm willing to do what it takes to make that happen. Equally, that could blow up in his face, could blow up in her face. You know, it's a lot. There are lots of things that go into being married that aren't just saying yes to your partner constantly. But I get the impression that he genuinely really likes her. I get the impression that she genuinely really likes him. The thing that I think will be a problem is when her father pulled him aside and said she's used to a very specific kind of lifestyle. And I feel like maybe he understood that she had money, but he didn't really understand what that was until he came to her dad's house. And me equally watching it, I was like, oh, well, she has her own apartment and she doesn't pay that many bills. She must be upset. But I didn't think she was money until we went to her dad's house. When we were in her dad's house, I as a viewer was like, I feel poor watching this.
I mean, I could tell that there was wealth, but I just didn't feel that really took over her whole life or her whole perception.
Not her whole life, but I feel like, I'm not saying it's something that's important to her, but I also don't think it's something she's ever had to live without.
Yeah.
So for her right now, she could say, the things that are important to me is that I'm loved, blah, blah. If now fast forward Brennan and her live together and they have to live they have to downgrade from her flat to something even smaller because he wants to take care of her and that's what he can afford, this will become an issue. Yeah. Because if you've only lived a certain lifestyle, to go down a step is not going to be easy. And love is not enough for you to suddenly be like, well, I can't buy clothes online anymore. Come on.
But I think we're going to talk about it in other couples. I do think that with each couple, there is one couple that has a higher level of maturity than the other.
Yeah.
And in this case, in comparison to the other couples, I think Alexa has a decreased level of maturity than Brennan.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be more apparent as time goes on.
I think that I think based on their lifestyles, they're probably not a good match.
Yeah.
But they obviously connected in the pod, personality-wise, they feel like they're a good match. And they genuinely seem like they're having a really good time together. And I'd like to think that could surpass all of that other stuff. But equally, I'm a realist. And I feel like attracts like. And now that they've seen how each other live or the worlds that they belong to, that will be playing in the back of their minds.
Maybe, but I think one of the reasons why I like them as a couple is because they have there's some shared values, like
100%,
which I think like family, like
money is also a big thing for Brennan.
Yeah, they had a really hard upbringing. No AC and no heat. The no AC thing, I'm like, we don't have AC. I was like, I do not relate to this in any slight way.
And the thing is, a few times I heard it, I was like, all I heard was the AC part.
Yeah.
Then I was like, wait a minute, no heat.
Yeah.
In the winter.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that is constantly going to be on your mind. Especially when her dad said she's used to a certain... I will say this time round, the parents are parenting.
Oh my goodness, they know their role. They knew
their
role.
Are parenting.
Yeah.
They are saying, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And
her dad said, listen, if you're broke and you want to be doing broke life, I'm going to drag you.
Yeah.
And my daughter won't stay with you.
Yeah.
You better be prepared for that.
My guy is not here for playing
Cut
games.
to his mum being like, just be sweet to my son.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no.
I'm just intrigued to see how this couple develops. I don't think I have much to say. My prediction... Well, we'll do predictions at the end.
Yeah, we'll do predictions at the end.
The next couple is Nancy and Bartise.
Nancy, Bartise. Well, first of all, red flag should have come from when Bartise and Nancy... No, Bartise and Raven.
Yeah.
Bartise was feeling Raven. Yeah. He tells her his little sob story. Which, honestly, is a sad story. Like, he's talking about his parents breaking up and that's a big deal to him. Pause. His mum and dad then turn up.
Oh,
like, they're a couple.
Yes!
Anyway.
Oh, my goodness,
yes! Of course, we'll come back to that. Because that story wasn't... The math wasn't mathing on for me. Bartise was feeling Raven. He told Raven his little sad story. Raven was doing jumping jacks. Raven was doing jumping jacks. Bartise said, you are not the one for me. I think low-key he was burnt that she did that. Yeah. Which is, do you know what? I think you're allowed to be burnt if you want to tell someone something personal about yourself and they just don't respond in the way that you want. I've seen tweets of people being like, that story was dead. Which is very funny.
But that's a real life story. I'm sorry we can't jazz it up.
Very funny that people said the story was dead. But also for Bartise, the story's not dead. No. So Bartise's reaction to somebody not... Like if I told someone my sub story or whatever it is, and they were just like, LOL, I think I would have a problem with that. Or if they were like staring at their phone the whole time. It's just like maths with Kwame and Keisha. Keisha telling her story and Kwame being like, raw.
Yes.
You know, exactly. It's the same thing. So after that, Bartise was like, I'm set on Nancy. Nancy is this like happy-go-lucky, smile, laugh. I want to have 10 kids. Just saying all the right things, right?
Yeah.
Nancy's also talking to Andrew, who I don't even know how to describe him because every single time they had a date, I was like, what is going on? Andrew was like, he did this thing I absolutely hate, which was like, I don't know if I've mentioned I'm a wildlife photographer. Yeah. I did some wildlife photography. I spent 3 months in Africa. I went to Africa because I'm a wildlife photographer. And you're like, I get it. You really like your job. Yeah. And everything about the way he spoke was wild. And I didn't realise that Nancy mentioned this when she eventually turned him down. Yeah. But she was like, there are people out there who talk a good game. Yeah. But it's lies or it's artifice, and I don't buy Andrew.
And then they cut to the scene, one of the most talked about scenes so far in this series, with Andrew, my guy, breaking the fourth wall, or the producers doing it, and Andrew saying, "Is it rolling?" And then
hang on a sec.
Let me pull out my eye drops to show that I'm crying because he's just been rejected by Nancy.
And I'd love to know what people think. I feel like people are probably in your camp of what you described just now, which is that he was trying to do fake tears. Yeah. I got the impression that he was sad, but he was using the eye drops to say, "Oh, I'm not crying. I put eye drops in." That's how I read it initially.
Okay, you do wear glasses, I'm assuming you've used eye drops.
Yeah.
Before. Can you speak on that more than I can?
Yeah. So as an eye drop person, no.
Yeah, as an eye drop representative, as a member of the eye drop community.
Here's some tea for the listeners. I wear glasses.
Ooh, I do wear glasses from time to time.
A lot of people don't know, huh? We all talk about this offline because this is gonna completely change the whole dynamic of our friendship is shattered. I wear glasses and I sometimes wear contacts and I'd love to wear contacts more, but my eyes are so dry and contacts dry your eyes out that sometimes I can't remove the contacts from my eye because I cannot grip it because my eyes are so dry and they've fused, essentially, right?
Oh my gosh.
So my optician will say, put eye drops in and artificially wet your eyes because they're just not wet enough.
Yeah.
Equally, if you're having a bit of a cry and then you go, I'm not crying, I had eye drops in, is a good way to cover the fact that you've been crying. So when he did that, I got the impression that he was upset and he went, I'm not crying, I'm putting eye drops in, that's what's happened. Because actually, before that happened, his nose was a bit red.
Wow, you look close.
Yeah, I was looking at him. He looked like he was already on the cusp to me. But equally, you could read it as he was trying to cry. And so I read it as, I need to put my eye drops in, guys. I'm not crying. Yeah. But actually, he was crying. And then I go on Twitter and everyone's like, this is crazy. He put eye drops in to look like he was crying. I was like, is that what people think when I put my eye drops in?
But I mean, I think it's not just the eye drops moment. So I know we're going to go back to Nancy and Bartise, but it's not just the eye drops moment. It's because of the character he portrayed throughout the whole of the show so far. He was very self-absorbed. That was the issue. He talked nothing about himself.
He talked about himself.
He never, or from what we saw and what was edited, he never really showed that much of an interest in Nancy. And if he did, it was more for Nancy to complement his life than for him to build a life with her together.
Yeah, you put that very concisely. Yeah. I think and watching him, of all the people, like there are lots of people there who probably should not be getting married, but I didn't initially look at them and think they shouldn't be here. He was the only person I was like, this person shouldn't be here because the way he spoke about his single life, he's living his best life.
Oh, absolutely.
He was like, if I want to get on a flight tomorrow, go to Paris for 3 months, I can. Why are you telling your future wife that you feel like it's okay for you to just get up and leave for 3 months?
Another side note, on dating apps, and there's like prompts that say like, what's the most adventurous thing, or what's the biggest mistake that you've made or not made? And people are like, I just jumped on the plane. I was bored one weekend, so I went to Dubai for a couple of days and then came back. Or like, I decided to quit my job and go travelling across Australia on a whim. Like, that is a red flag for me personally, because it just shows that you ain't prepared for life.
That is single life. That's the beauty of being single.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of not having ties. Imagine you have a husband and a newborn child, and this man calls you from the airport. Hello? Yes, let me tell you something.
Why is he an uncle?
I don't know. His accent's gonna keep shifting. I haven't decided on one yet. Hey! Hey, girl. Yeah, I'm currently in Antarctica. I just thought I'd come in. Excuse? I sent you to go get milk from the shop. You're telling me you jumped on a flight to go Antarctica? Are you out of your fucking mind, bruv? That's when the South London will jump out. You better get your ass on that next flight. If you're not here, wow. By the time you return here, my name will be back to my old name. This child's name will be back to my old name. You will not be able to walk into this house. Oh. It's a wrap. I cannot. I went to my aunt's house on the weekend. My nephew's birthday. I'm like, oh, where's Uncle? She's like, oh, he went to Ghana.
What?
I said, huh? She said, yeah. I said, yeah, as in you knew. She's like, no. I said,
God.
Couldn't be me,
No.
bruv. Couldn't be me. You're not calling me in Ghana being like, oh, I know I left this morning to go work. I'm in Ghana.
Oh my God.
And I just be like, hey man, that's so cool.
No.
I've changed the locks.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to contact me, call your mum, to call your dad, to call your sister, to call someone. I'm not speaking to you. Get in your life. I couldn't do it.
My God.
So when he was sitting there being like, yeah, so I like to go here, I like to here. Basically, I want to marry someone who'll go on my little trips with me. I said, you're not ready to get married because your lifestyle doesn't sound like one to share with another person.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, even at one point, I thought he was going to say, I travel all these times, but I was feeling like something was missing.
Yes!
I wanted to share my life with someone.
Yeah.
I said, where's my wife? He never once mentioned that.
No.
Never once mentioned that.
No.
Even when he told that absolute wild story where she was like fanning herself.
About his...
tantric sex and
yeah.
the journey he'd been on. It just felt so like, you know, when you can connect with someone and they teach you stuff and then you teach people stuff and like...
But the benefit is
tantric
him.
sex is that you need to be taught, someone needs to teach you. I just thought...
No.
We've all met this guy before. We've all met a guy like this before, I feel like. Where it's like they are trying to convince you that they're really cool.
Yeah.
And that like, oh, you were gonna, this could be an adventure.
Yeah.
And actually this person is deeply, deeply insecure.
Oh, 100%.
Deeply insecure.
When you get to the root of
Well, yeah,
it.
when you get to the core of them, they are deeply insecure. They're a person who will tell you the same story from high school about how nobody wanted to kiss them at prom. That's the energy of that person. And I'm glad, I think she made the right decision not picking him, but I think she didn't make the right decision picking Bartise, because in the pods, all well and good, right? Nancy has this problem, and this was something I wanted to flag with you. The giggling constantly, presenting yourself as just like, I'm really fun and easygoing, is mis-selling yourself.
So true.
And I get it if you're just like, I'm a really fun, happy person, sure. But not everything is ha 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 funny.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to show people that you have the capacity to be serious. Yeah. So that they can understand that there are things that we do ha ha funny about and there are things that we need to be serious about. And I feel like because she doesn't know how to express confrontation in a way that I think feels comfortable for her, she has let Bartise say the wildest things to her.
Oh my gosh.
So she matches with Bartise. Oh, it's brilliant. We're gonna get married. They get to this honeymoon now. And also another thing about this season, I feel like have brought forward the mixing of the couples.
Yeah.
And it's happened on much more occasions than it has on previous seasons. So within 2 days, they're meeting the people they were in the pods with.
Yeah.
Bartise meets Raven. He doesn't even really speak to her that night. It's just like, hey, oh, it's me. They get home. It's like, yeah, so basically I want to fuck Raven, innit? She's hot.
She's the type I would go for.
Raven's my type.
If I wasn't in this experiment. Or, like...
In real life, me and Raven would look good together.
Yeah.
Me and Raven are both attractive people. And Nancy's just sitting... I've never seen anything sad in my life.
No.
She's just sitting there. And going back to what I was saying last week about men having inability to read body language...
Nick.
Even if she's not speaking, right? And to be fair, she didn't say Pim when he was saying that to her. She just sat there. Her face said it all. She didn't look happy.
No.
She's not giggling and laughing no more.
When I saw her face, I was like, okay, this is the face of a woman who's processing...
heartbroken.
Heartbroken and processing all the mistakes and all the decisions she's made in her life to get her to this point.
Literally, her life is flashing before her eyes. What have I done?
For this clown to sit here and say,
What
I would have gone out with this other girl.
He's like, oh, but we've got such a good relationship that I can say this to your face. She just sits there. Yeah. And at that point, I was like, it literally could have been me because you've presented yourself as this fun, happy-go-lucky girl, you now can't voice the fact that, like, hey, that was messed up what you said to me.
Yeah.
And arguably, any woman, that would be messed up what you just said to me.
Oh, 100%. He's basically saying...
And he was going on and on as well. It wasn't like he just said, it was really nice meeting everyone. I was quite surprised by Raven. She's quite an attractive girl.
Yeah.
And he said, Raven's my type. In another scenario, I would have dated Raven.
Yes.
Raven's so hot. Blah, blah, blah. I'm so glad we can have this conversation, me and you, because we're in such a good place. I don't think me and Raven are in a good match, but Raven is fucking sexy. Raven this, Raven that. And this girl's just sitting there in the bed like...
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Now, he's sown the seed of insecurity, and he's reaping it now because she's like, to him, oh, well... You don't find me attractive. I'm not your regular type. But the types you've had before hasn't worked. So
I love when she flipped that.
You now get me. But I'm just like, don't sell yourself short.
We flash forward. Nancy had mentioned to him in the pod, there was this and Raven's declaration where I was like, why do we need to discuss this? Nancy says to him, how would you feel about, having something that my ex bought me? And he was like, I don't really care. Because he's 26 and he doesn't have shit, right? And she's like, my ex bought me a house. And I saw her in the house. And he's like, that's why I don't care. We go to homestays now. Turns out her and her ex co-own a property and her ex bought her a property. But her and her ex own a house flipping business.
Yeah. She's got a portfolio.
She's got her shit together.
Oh, 100%.
And she tells him, and he's like, oh, the story's changed. She told me she only owned one property, now suddenly she owns two. It's not like she said I own one and she turns out she owned 17. It was one, it turned out to be two. What is the drama? And she explained, the second one, I'm on it in name alone. I don't pay towards it. I don't make money off it. My name is on the mortgage. That's it. Yeah. Yes, if her ex decided he wasn't going to pay for the house anymore, it would come back to her. But they also run a business together. So I feel like there'll be several fixed steps before it gets to, I'm not paying for this house anymore. It's your problem. Anyway, he's decided this is an issue. That's gone in his back pocket. She has dropped this drama from when he literally looked her in the eye and said, Raven is who I would go for over you. Yeah. She's put it to one side. Later on, I don't know how they get to this conversation, but they start talking about abortion. And she asks, as a general question, if we found out our child was going to have a disability, mental, physical, whatever it is, would you be willing to abort that child, or would you want to keep it? Because I know it's very difficult to raise a physically challenged, mentally challenged child. And I want to know what you think. And he goes, I would keep the baby. I would never not keep a baby. And she goes, I work with a lot of disabled children and I can see how tough it is on the families. And me personally, if I knew my child was going to be disabled, I would choose to abort it. Whatever your feelings are about this situation, because it is knotty, it's complicated, it's something that you learn about in RS even, that's like one of those things that you debate in school. She then asks him, if you were to find out that I was pregnant before we planned and we weren't ready, what would you do? He was like, yeah, well, you can have an abortion for that. I said, how's that different from what she said? Is that even not less of a reason? You're now aborting an able-bodied child.
Over
a child that you know is going to either have a limited lifespan, have an incredibly difficult life. That doesn't make sense to me.
On that moment, there was two things that came up, because that conversation then came up with the family when Bartise family came, and
don't know how that came up again.
Then the sister was
crying.
So I have the impression there's two sides I have on this point, that there's something that's been impacted in their family. So either the sister may have a child, or know someone that's been in that situation where they've had a baby that has being impacted by
I
some
was
form of
thinking maybe she
disability.
struggled to have a kid.
Or something like that, yeah. So there's something that that triggered her to have that level of emotion around that particular subject, being personal to her, and I think that also impacted the way that all the other members of the family reacted to Nancy. So that was one point. The second point I had was, one I think is a very important conversation that needs to happen with any couple,
Yes,
especially a couple that are going to go to marriage, wants to have kids, whichever way you want to do it. I think it's important to have that conversation, to be on the same standpoint as where you are. And that, like, pro-life, pro-choice, Roe versus Wade, it's such a divisive issue in America. So like politics, unfortunately, this conversation needs to be happening. So I'm happy that they showed it.
Do you not feel like that's why they put it in? Because that was my feeling. I was like, we've never ever had a conversation about abortion on the show.
I think there was that, because I think it was, I mean, again, I don't know when, I don't know exactly when they were filming the show or when they were editing it, but I think it's a very big topic in the US. And even the way that it was handled and how it was edited, like the music completely tripped. It was a completely silent conversation between this engaged couple about basically abortion, pro-life, pro-choice. So I think it was important to show that conversation, and that's a value that sometimes people miss, because they talk about money, they talk about religion, they talk about politics, but that's another topic. But the other reason why I thought they brought it in is because I think they want to show Bartise's level of excuses about why he was saying no.
Yeah, and also the fact that Bartise, I think to me, what it showed more than anything is how immature Bartise is. And that he hasn't lived a life.
No. And I think that was my big thing about this couple. Some of the guys on the show, Bartise and Cole and Matt, and I think Matt is a little bit older. But this has been the year of the 20-something boys and the 30-something ready to get married women. And when Bartise was first introduced to the show, he said, I'm a 25-year-old guy, and it surprised people why I'm on this show, because I actually want to get married. I am more mature than the other 25-year-olds that you would know out there. And that's how he presented himself. Like, I'm an old soul, basically. I'm an old guy in a young body. I am ready for the commitment, and I want to break the stereotype of, being a 25-year-old F-boy. So that's how he was presented, and bit by bit, producers are showing that he is very much the image that he doesn't want to be perceived as.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that every conversation in her talking about her business, in her talking about the abortion, I was just like, this person is suddenly, it's gone from a 4-year gap or 5-year gap to a 10-year, 15-year gap.
Yes.
Because this person is just not in the same place that you are in. So they have that abortion conversation. They have the abortion conversation again in front of his parents. And suddenly she's having to defend herself. And I will say what she said eventually. Me personally, I agree with her on this, but I also just think for the sake of the argument, she said, nobody should comment on another woman's decisions over her body, right? And I agree with her, but then I also disagree with her in the sense that, like, I agree 100%. No one should tell a woman what she can and can't do with her body. But when you get married to someone, the intention is that you are going to raise a family. You are now making joint decisions on childbirth, almost. So it's true, you can't just get up and get an abortion and not tell your partner. So you should have a conversation about this stuff, because if this were to happen, you wouldn't want him to suddenly be like, no, I don't. And that'd be the first time you've ever heard him be vocal about this thing. You should have this conversation before. But anyway, she said a woman should be allowed to make a decision about her body. In front of his parents, she said, I'm open to this discussion. These are opinions I had as a single person. I'm saying we're going into marriage. I have to be open to his opinions, to his thoughts.
Yeah.
His parents seem to like her. His sister, she's crying.
Yeah.
So I felt this isn't really to do with Nancy at all. This is to do with whatever she's going through and how she feels about this thing. Cut to the next episode. Nancy and Bartise have not been speaking. Bartise is like, based on the abortion conversation and the house, I'm no longer physically attracted to her.
See, this...
I said, rewind a sec. I'm not understanding.
Yeah.
He said, all of these problems. I said, problems?
Yeah.
And also, I feel like this is the equation. Abortion issue, house, plus question mark equals I'm no longer attracted to my wife.
Yeah, let's call a spade. Bartise spent the whole time going. I know at the beginning in the pods he was like, it's not about attraction, it's about connection. As soon as he left the pods, it's all about, I need to be physically attracted to my wife, of course. If she puts on 400 pounds, I need to be attracted to her, so I will tell her that she needs to go to the gym.
He said like to her brothers,
yeah, exactly, to her brothers. Those brothers were beating him up.
Those brothers put him through it, and I'm glad
they did. Yeah,
I'm glad. At first, I was like, "Man, give him a chance." Why is everyone getting on everyone?
Oh, don't worry. I don't think it's the last time we're going to see those brothers.
No.
So he was really doing that, and that's why I said about the abortion and that pro-life conversation, because I knew he was going to be using it as a type of like, oh, it's a red flag, but it's not. Also, isn't Nancy one of those egg donors? Yeah. So from the pod, she was telling you basically she could be a potential mother.
to 30 kids.
So she's really told you this is her life, this is what she has done before. She's lived a life.
She's
lived a life.
And she said, when she told that story, I was friends over this.
Yeah.
So she has not come to these decisions lightly.
No.
And for you, essentially a child, write down now that if anything were to happen to our child, you would be the one to back it 100%. Yeah. No, because when this kid gets here, I want you to have that same energy.
Yeah, exactly. Because Bartise gives me the impression if something happens, what happens to the baby? Whether they're well, we pray that it's well or not. He would bounce. He would bounce so quickly. The other issue I had with Bartise, and I maybe even look at my screen and say, "What was the scene when all the couples reunite? Not just with the other couples, but with the other people that were unmarried."
Oh, we're gonna get to that. We haven't got to that in the chronology.
Oh yeah, we haven't even touched. Yeah.
We're at the part where he says to her, where they're talking about they haven't. She asked him for a hug. He was like, "Oh, you're bare clingy."
Yeah,
he didn't say it like that. Yeah. Bear in mind, these people have been all over each other from when they left the pond. They had sex very early. At the first reunion, he was like, "We've had sex 5-6 times in the night." It is going to feel you're going to feel some type of way if that suddenly flips reverse, and you say and now you're saying you're not attracted to me, period.
Yeah.
So what was all of that before?
To me, again, it's the sign of immaturity that you're not here for the right reasons.
You're
not here for Love is Blind. Yeah. Go on Love Island. Bartise will just
go home.
Yeah,
he's not as hot as he thinks he is.
I don't think it's bad.
He's a perfectly handsome, but He's acting like he's God's gift.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Not that
the way he was talking about like me and Raven, and we're the kind of people that when we go to the club, people will come to us. We don't go to people. Like I was like, fam, slow your
in the club. No, not me.
And one of the things about Bartise, I think he plays a good game. He can talk. He can talk like our dear friend Kwame.
Yeah, it turns out we are dear friends with Kwame.
Our dear friend. No, we are not friends with Kwame. But like Kwame from Married at First Sight UK. He knows how to talk a good game, but it means nothing. And with Bartise, it's the same thing. He's saying the things that he hopes he could be. Like, I want to be a guy who can get married, build a future with my wife, have kids, all those things. But in reality, he's not there mentally to get to that point. And I think it was very obvious.
They're in a rocky place now. Natsy's crying.
Yeah.
As you would. I don't know what it would feel like to be with someone and then have them suddenly turn around and look you in the eye and say, I am not physically attracted to you. I'm not sexually attracted. It's not even physically. Like, I can't even touch you.
Yeah.
I'm repulsed by you. I'm repulsed by you, but you're pitching it to me that you're repulsed by me based on my opinions.
And not on your physicality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They then go to the reunion again. Another scheduled reunion. But this time there are people... Everybody who went through the pods is here. Which means Andrew's here. Andrew pulls Natsy for a chat. He's trying to be messy, but but she's quite good. I feel like she's very well behaved. He pulls her to be messy, and he's like, "Do you regret any of your choices?" And she's like, "No." She looked him in the eye. She said, "No."
Slam it down.
She said, "No."
In her head, though, it's like, "Yeah, baby, but not for you."
And then they start talking about the relationship, and she says, "He's recently told me he's not attracted to me, and it's really hurt my feelings. I don't know what to do." He said that Raven's more his type. I don't know how I feel, and he is trying to be reassuring. She's emotional. All of a sudden, here comes Bartise. What the fuck are you guys talking about? They're like, huh? Oh, we're just catching up. Catching up about what? Should I be worried? Like, we're just having a chat. A chat about what? Because you seem like you're smiling and laughing. Huh. First of all, bring it the whole way down. Yeah. Bring it the whole way down. I do not like the energy of how he walked up here. I don't know what you think you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because he really came in like he's ready to fight. I didn't know who he wanted to fight at the table.
Yeah.
But if I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm not stroking his leg and I'm not kissing his ear, why are you coming in with energy like that? Bear in mind, this man went up to Raven and said, "You're fucking sexy."
Oh,
the first day.
Okay. No.
He said, the first time they had the reunion, he said, "Damn, girl."
Yeah. Can we also just add to that?
He said,
that was the first reunion. The second day in the pool, my guys are trying to proposition her. Going,
She said, "I'm not interested."
He's like, me and you, yeah, we could be a couple.
Hottest people.
With the hottest people. There's something about us together. This guy, honestly, if they're still together and Nancy saw that, just take him all the way to the bin. That's a quote. That line, as I realised, is from a YouTuber that I've listened to. Her name is Nicole Davies, and she always says to the bin. Really, he just belong inside that bin, underneath the bin, around the bin, because of how he's such a hypocrite.
No way in about around the bin. Make sure he's inside of that bin. He's not boxed.
He's a hypocrite. He's an absolute hypocrite.
The energy was off completely. Then they go home. He was like, "What's all this with you and Andrew? Should I be worried?" Because she was proper. He was all over. She wasn't. No. She was having a conversation with a person. Also, please tell me who looks at a conversation where one person is sitting there sipping their drink and the other person is crying and is like, they're flirting.
Yeah.
This is flirty. It feels flirty to me. That's what I mean about the body. You cannot read a situation at all.
Question for you. Do you think that was producer invoked?
No, I think that was him.
Really?
I think the issue was, and I do love this because I say this to you, you've got to apply these people with alcohol.
Oh gosh, yes.
And the way he was talking, and afterwards when they go back to the house, I was like, "You're off your face."
Yeah, and when he was talking to Nancy that day, when he was like, "Raven's so hot," he was
off
drunk.
And also Nancy's like dead eye stare.
Yeah,
was half her being like, "Is this happening for real?" Because I'm smashed, and her being like, "Oh no, I made a mistake." Yeah. They get home. He's coming at Nancy about having this conversation. She finally says, "It's not nice to hear that your partner isn't attracted to you." He's like, Listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like, if I'm not attracted to you, I'm not attracted to you. She's just standing there. She starts crying again. He's just stood there. Suddenly he gets a phone call. Oh! Midway through you and your wife having a heart-to-heart, you get a phone call. You answer the phone. The phone call is from another contestant. Not your the only time you should be picking up the phone is if your mum and your dad's dead. That's what the phone call is about. You cannot pick up this phone right now. He picks up the phone. It's Matt. I don't know where my wife is. You go, "Oh, I'm sorry, man." End the call. No. He goes, "Matt, I'm coming. Matt, I'm coming to see you." Goes to Matt's flat. Matt's kicking off about Collie. And he goes to Matt, "You're lucky. I wish I was in the situation you're in. You're making complaints about nothing. I'm going through it."
Like, you love your wife. Your wife loves you. I don't know about mine. Bruh.
He said the situation that you're in, I would pay money to be in.
Your whole wife for Matt, and we'll get onto it. Colleen has basically deserted him. My guy, Bartise, is like, "But you're in a better position though."
He's screaming at Matt. At that point, I was like, both these men are off their face. Yeah. Because why are you screaming right now?
Yeah.
Over a situation that isn't bad.
Yeah.
You're drunk.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think. You're not
drunk.
looking at this properly. The way that Bartise was acting like he's going through it, he's in the pits of hell.
Yeah.
In a situation where you have decided you're no longer attracted to someone that you've been attracted to for weeks.
Yeah.
And that person, instead of letting them to feel the feelings that they're feeling, you have co-opted their sadness and turned yourself into the victim.
Yeah, and gaslighted her.
And you're acting like you're having the worst time of your life, and what's she doing? Having the great time? I hate him.
No.
Sorry, because she doesn't deserve it. As much as I feel like she's a bit of a pick-me, I don't think her and Zanab do not deserve to have someone make them feel like they're ugly.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No.
And then you're telling me let's get married.
No.
This is upside down.
Yeah.
We're in the upside down because this doesn't make sense.
It's the whole thing like, but I chose you in the pods. I chose you, so that means that I still want to do it.
I'm convinced that they purposely pick women who have never thrown hands before. Because I'm telling you, everything in that house would be getting dashed. Everything in that house. They would have to shut down production. Call the police, pull me. I'm sorry. These women are not getting mad enough for me.
No.
You're not going to come into my life as a single person. I've got my shit together and make me start to think that I'm the crazy one and I'm the one in this relationship who's the low value one. I don't have nothing to offer. Yeah. And I should be grateful because you've decided on me. I can't even get my head around that now. I'm hot.
No.
I don't know if you guys can tell.
No,
I'm shaking.
No, it's actually maddening. No, because
fuming.
when I watched that end of episode 7 and Bartise dashed out of that room and said, "I'm going to go and save Matt," I realised. Oh, there's been multiple times I've realised that they're really here for drama. There's no love in Love Is Blind.
None.
Drama is alive. Drama is sight.
Love Is Blind, drama is sight. 100%. That is the title of the episode. We did it. Love Is Blind, drama is sight. I love it. She's a marketing person. I'd love to watch a show called Drama is Sight.
Oh my god,
we out here looking fucking stupid.
Mess. The thing is, so if I go all the way back to the beginning of the episode, beginning of episode 1, when Nancy and Bartise have the conversation, he reveals her age, and Nancy was like, you could tell her, yeah, she's 31, and she got a flag. And in my head, I was thinking that flag for her is a red flag. Mm-hmm. But for her, it was an orange flag.
Or no, it was a red flag, but she said, "This is what I've been doing outside. It hasn't worked."
Yeah.
So let me put my red flag aside.
Yeah, and let me just wait and see. And then saw Andrew and realised he's the red flag.
Crazy.
Let me go back to Bartise. I have another comment right at the end of the show about this. But, so that was it. So she realised there could be, there could be some issues with immaturity when it comes to Bartise. That was one. Number 2, Nancy in general, like we talked about, the whole giggly, laughing, goofy thing.
She presents herself like she's much younger than she is.
Yeah, and probably a bit more stupid than she is. Yeah. Which she was like, oh, she would describe it as probably goofy. I'm goofy, Bartise is goofy, we're just connecting on our goofy self because he's basically... I don't
want to hear the word goofy again in my life.
No, Bartise was like, oh, she's the female version of me. Or maybe one of them said that, oh, we're basically twin flames. That's basically what they were trying to describe. And that was like, okay, this could work. At the beginning, that's how I was thinking. There could be something there. They're connecting in this way that, you know when you see couples that can just laugh together, have that humour together, there's just something that they can just connect like that. But there was an episode, and I cannot remember what number. It was definitely after the first reunion with the rest of the couples. And he's talking to Nancy and asking her, like, legit questions like, are you going to say yes? Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, of course. Of course. Like, and he's like... No. So he's asking her, like, yeah, do you think that we're going to be meant to be? And she's like, yeah, of course. And do you think that...
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, of course. Can we stop?
That's not how she sounded.
But I'm just trying to, to emphasize.
Be in your feminine energy right
That's
now.
That's the thing. God, it's so hard. Oh mate, like of course,
Shoshanna's feminine energy is Michael Jackson, which is so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, of course. So he's asking her some deep questions, and she's giggling a lot, and the camera pans to him and zooms, and that's the face when you realise that this guy ain't here for anything. That he was looking at her like,
because I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say no. Or that was the face of like, I am trapped. This is now.
What was he hoping for?
This 2-week relationship, which in the real world, quote unquote, or outside this experiment, he would have hit it and quit long time ago. But he realized in that moment that this is a commitment, and he's made a terrible mistake. That was one of the times when I was like, this boy, he's not here. And then the whole Raven situation, the propositioning, the fact that he was saying we would look good, going back to the looks. Going back to the sites.
This is the one season where multiple people have been like, looks. You've forgotten what the show is.
The show is called Love Is Blind.
They had Shake last season. They thought, let's multiply the shakes.
Exactly.
Let's get as many shakes as we can this season.
Get every single red flag type of guy. And then he's now just using it to gaslight this girl. Now, I hope and I pray that common sense really does intervene. And because I think Nancy has a good head on her shoulder. I know that she kind of... like some women do, they do try and portray themselves to be slightly less intelligent than they are. Or not intelligent is wrong, but they're just a bit more like softer and a bit more playful than they are, because maybe them being in their most like serious, like bad arsery self can be turned off to guys. But I don't want you to lose that, Nancy, because I think that you have a good head on your shoulder. One, you are doing amazing things, and I love that they are showing the good that you are doing outside of this relationship, because at the moment you're just sitting there and nodding, and at the moment I'm concerned, but I do think that her eyes will open, this girl's will drop and she will see that Bartise really is just a joker, honestly.
Her brothers really said it when they said, the thing about Nancy, she brings out the best in everyone.
Yes.
She is just a bubbly person. Yeah. I feel like she's very good at connecting with people on a surface level, right? Yeah. And so I can imagine she's probably brought several people home who have not had the best of intentions for her, who she's forcing it.
Yeah.
Because she's so lovely that they can't find a way to break up with her when they're not feeling it.
Yeah.
And then it just ends in tears. And I feel like the thing with Bartise is that, like, it's the same energy that Duca had in maths. Yes. I've decided I'm doing this, so I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And if I have to make you suffer, me suffer, everybody in this suffer, I will do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be a quitter.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a quitter.
And it makes me think, is this thing incentivized? Is it incentivized that you get married? I don't think it's the case.
I wonder if it's not an incentive like they're going to pay you, but I wonder if it's like...
Oh, it's the fame afterwards,
yeah. Yeah, you
know. The couple YouTube. The last thing I was going to say is, Nancy may not throw hands, but her brothers will. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking in my head. This is how Nancy's made it through her life. But remember she mentioned that thing? Well, her mum mentioned it as well. Like, I taught Nancy to fight. Yeah. Oh, Nancy, use your skills. Nancy, knock this guy's block off, because he's really acting like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. I was going to enter my body into... I'm the sickest person on the planet. I'm telling you, you don't look as good as you think you do.
He was using that line.
Blank, period. You're not The Rock. You're not Jason Momoa. No. Your body is not a sculpture. No. Your body is not something that people will be like, please explain how you got this, because it's just not making sense to me. His body was fine.
Yeah. He used that line to tell the women in the pods that I'm fit. But anyway, let's move on to another
before we leave, I'm so glad that Nancy did the jumping jacks during his story now. Now there's a way for him. I said, Nancy got your number.
No, you mean Raven.
Raven, sorry. Raven got you together.
Yeah.
Raven shook him to his core. He's like, no woman has ever treated me like this. Raven said, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care about your story. You think you're hot? I'm hotter.
Yeah. Now, so we're now going to talk about Cole and Zanab.
Yeah.
So, talking of immature boys.
Yikes.
When Cole was introduced in episode 1, he gave me... Barnett vibes from series 1.
Someone said if Barnett and what's her name? I forgot the Barnett and
Amber.
Barnett and Amber's child is already on the show.
Yes, that was it. Yes, I saw that. Yes. So
can't believe Barnett and Amber's child is already on the show
3 years later.
Definitely has Barnett and Amber's child vibes.
It does. Actually, you know what? You're right. Both of them.
Yes, because perfect energy of both of them.
So Barnett had that kind of like, I'm a cool frat guy, cheeky chappy.
All the girls was into Barnett.
Yeah, exactly. And then Amber had a bit of that immaturity, a bit quote goofy.
That's why she's queen.
Yeah, exactly. Like Lauren knew. She was just like, nah.
Why is everyone into Barnett?
She could smell it from a mile away. I mean, they're still together, and
I'm happy for them. Though. They were a good match.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have expected it. If you told me then in series 1 that they were still together,
you know why? Because Amber would throw hands.
Oh yeah, she would.
She said to Jessica, no.
No.
I see what you're doing, and it's a no.
In that reunion episode special, she looked like she was gonna fight her, and there's a lot.
She looked like she was gonna fight her at the head party when she was like, "Oh yes, if you ever put your hands on my man, goodness. I would kill you."
That honestly, and
then she kissed her. I believe you. That's such an icon, so iconic.
Yeah. So that, I mean, series 1 did have moments of there will be fights, or there could potentially be fights, and everyone was willing to be high stakes and not worry about what their perception was. Whereas I think this one, the women are more guarded. Yeah. But anyway, Cole comes off as like this like cheeky chappy. Everyone loves Cole. He's got this energy, very judgmental and very triggered by. I don't do nurses.
But never explain that. By the way.
No explanation. Very quick to rule people out straight away. It is not even by looks. It's just like they could say one thing. Oh, was it the girl that liked to have olives with her beer? And he's like, what?
Olives with beer? Get out of here.
Yeah, so...
There was another girl, he asked a question, she answered it, and he was like, if there's no banter, she's not funny, get the fuck out. And I was like, you're not funny.
Because my guy thinks his jokes are like...
You're actually not funny.
The Jonas Brother is what he referenced. And he was like, who loves the Jonas Brothers? I was like... You are so young.
I'm going to say something and
Go
you're going
on.
to be really mad.
Go on.
Cole is the result of going to too many Christian camps. Cole is Christian core.
He does
He's
give...
Christian camp core. I'm so sorry.
He do-
His favourite band is Jonas Brothers. And what were Jonas Brothers famous for?
Purity rings.
Exactly. He is the most popular guy at church camp.
Oh, God, I hate
And has been the most popular guy at church camp his entire life. And then come on this show and everyone's like, ugh. Us viewers are like, ugh. But he came on here thinking he was going to have the best of times.
He did, yeah. And he'll find his wife. So anyway, it's true. And the faith thing
Yes,
did
I have
come
several
up.
questions for you
Yeah,
about that.
it did come up as he was having his conversations with Zanab. But before he even met Zanab, or who he calls Zay, he connected first with Colleen, who we will talk about later because she's a character in herself.
Oof.
And they were vibing-ish, kind
He
of.
heard that she was a ballet dancer. He said, do the splits on my dick.
Basically.
Basically.
I mean, again, I was saying that with Bartise, there was a lot of people who were trying to indicate their physique and their physical look through the pods without saying that, oh, I'm 5'8" and I weigh 200 pounds.
Shake really paved the way for asking questions in a way, phrasing things in a way that people would admit what their body type was.
What was his paper line?
Can I pick you up? Can I put you on my shoulders? Or
I hate to say it was genius. It was actually genius.
It's such a crazy question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if a man asked me, "Can I put you on my shoulders?" I'd probably be like, "No."
Well, I mean, how strong are you?
I'm 5'9". I'm almost 6 foot. I don't know if you could put me on your shoulders. I genuinely don't know if you could put me on your shoulders.
But then that's when he's like, but I'm a bodybuilder. But anyway.
Yeah, we're going to be 10 foot tall. I don't want to do that. Be practical.
But with Cole, anyway, it was very clear that it was superficial. He met Colleen. They've had a good vibe. And then Colleen...
He heard she was flexible.
He heard she was
made him
flexible.
horny.
Yeah. But then it got to the point where he was talking to her about something more deep, or trying to understand
He
how...
literally just asked her,
Yeah.
let's get deep.
Yeah, can we get deep? And she was like,
No.
that's not something that I feel comfortable doing. And he was like, well, if you can't get deep, you're not ready for a marriage or commitment in this case with him.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm going to go off with my other connection, which was Zanab.
Actually, that wasn't even the whole thing. She then had an opportunity to be like, wait, I'm being silly. Obviously, I want to be real with my husband. It's my husband. I want to be able to come home and be my real self. Instead, she went, maybe you think I'm fake, and maybe I'm fake, but I just choose to be happy. And do you know what? I'm out. Peace out, Cole. And walked out.
Yeah.
And she fumbled the bag on that
Oh,
one.
yeah, she did. But that being said,
Not like with Brennan when he said, hey, buddy, let's cut this off, period. I don't want to hear any more from you.
Exactly. Again, in terms of the breakups, quote unquote. Actually, Cole didn't even break up with Colleen.
That's what I said, he
He
didn't.
didn't, no. Brennan
cut things off, she did.
Yeah, she did. Brennan actually went to her and was like, very honest, and was like, look, I have a deeper connection with someone else. But, going back to Cole, when he said, you know what, well, Colleen's now left, I'm now going to just pursue someone else, I was thinking, this is the time I was like, oh, maybe they're doing the right thing in terms of bringing these younger guys. Maybe they're trying to show this perception that younger guys are ready for commitment and understand what it means to get really deep in a relationship.
And bear in mind, he's been married before.
And he's been married before, yes. And so he's divorced. They only stayed together for like just over a year.
Really?
I think he said 14 months.
I thought he said he got married when he was 21, then got divorced when he was 24.
Oh, basically, it wasn't a long marriage.
Yeah, maybe
it wasn't a long
that.
marriage, but
Again,
boy, it was clear.
It was clear. Get married as
You're
soon as
young,
possible.
yeah, exactly. So there was definitely some of the Christian trope or Christian couple tropes in that story and in his story now. And then, yeah, he meets Zanab and they connected on quite a few different things. One of them being faith and how it's very important that the person that they're with is also a Christian and wants to build practicing and they want to build like a godly relationship and a godly marriage, etc. So that was like, okay, my perception of Cole is starting to change, even though he was giving me frat boy, not just in the pods, but outside of the pods in the lounges as well, with the men.
Church camp, frat boy.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a really bad, like, he's a teenage dirtbag, baby.
I'm just a church camp frat boy, baby. So someone turn that into a song, give us royalties. We've written it for you, basically. Come on, man.
So that was what it was giving me. But I was like, wow, my perception is changing of him. He's really like connected with Zanab. Zanab, similar to Nancy, is in her 30s. She's 30, I think she just turned... No, she's 29.
Oh, I thought she was in her 30s.
Don't worry.
Shoshanna's about to pull up Zanab's birth certificate, which she has.
Yeah. Zanab.
She said her mum was British, and I thought, right, we're going to trace that.
Oh, yeah, she did. She's 32.
Told ya.
So, and she's a realtor.
I don't like girls. Loads of realtors.
Yeah,
too many, actually.
Quite a few realtors.
Don't be ugly and do realty.
She has a very similar story to Nancy. But yeah, that was...
Cole's also a realtor.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I mean, come on, casting. Come on. This is like the stupid thing.
I've heard that real estate agents do have certain types of personalities, so it makes sense that they've ended up with quite a few real estate agents, because most people with regular jobs are not coming on Love is Blind because it might fuck with their bag.
And that's
can't work at the council after you've been on Love is Blind, can you?
And that's a similar conversation we had about last season of Married at First Sight UK, where two of the guys were strippers. But anyway, stripper and realtor
same job
aside,
same job.
Ripping up things anyway. So yeah, they started connecting, and then Zanab did flag that Cole is a bit younger than her. He's 25. A similar issue or flag that Nancy had, but she felt this connection with him, so they agreed to do the engagement.
But she also opened her mouth to say same levels of maturity.
Yeah.
She said they have the same levels of maturity.
Yeah.
You don't know.
No,
him.
you don't know. You really don't.
You don't know him.
And the minute, so they got engaged, all fun and games, very excited. But from like the first day when they got into that honeymoon, it was very clear they were not on the same page when it came to maturity. And she knew it. She's talking to him about something. Like, she's having like a deep conversation with him, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And my guy is like, what colour socks am I wearing? Like, it's just, I mean, I'm hypothetical.
I think that was pretty much the conversation, actually.
I think that maybe it's something similar
something
in the pod.
Socks,
yeah, he did. I think it was in the pod. He said something like that. Like, what colour socks do you think I'm wearing? Or what animal do you think is on my socks? And Colleen was like, it's a turtle. Ooh, so how did you know?
Jump back. There's a great moment where Cole is on a date with Alexa, and he was like, who do you think would win in a fight? A bear or a gorilla? Because the gorilla has muscles, but the bear would bite him. And then they cut to Alexa's talking head, and she's like, not to be an asshole, but no.
Yeah.
It's like, finally someone is saying this is the most basic banter. Yeah. It's the most basic humour. He talks like a child.
It does.
And it seems to me that he spent a lot of his life, people found it very endearing that he's got this childlike wonder, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You're saying the space
No.
for it.
And if you told me, like, out of the range of guys who are matched in a couple, there is one that has been divorced. Mm-hmm. I would have told you maybe it's Brennan, just from his like emotional, or Matt, because of his emotional maturity, because of maybe his age as well, because of the way he presents himself. Not Cole, of all
Bartise,
things.
because I imagine he probably got married in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but also I don't think they explained massively as to why they got divorced, apart from like they drifted apart after 3 years or however long they were being together.
They bumped butts, and then they were like, "Hey, I don't like you."
Yeah. So
I wanted to bump butts with you so badly. We got married, and now we've got butts. I don't need this anymore. To me, it's just ridiculous. So once they're now in the honeymoon, it's become very clear that the level of maturity is different. But like Nancy and Bartise, they get way too physical way too quickly. So I think they had sex like 4 times that night, or however much they were trying to brag to the other couples when they met up with them. And I do have a question as to why are they so open about the sex thing? They're forcing it.
It's so forcing. To me, it's like a status thing. Like, the more they have sex, the closer they are. And it's not the case.
You're forcing it.
Honestly, if you watch these shows...
Because you've got nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
So you're like, should we bump up?
Yeah, and see what happens. It doesn't work. And with Zanab and Cole, when they have sex on the first night, the next day, Cole says, that was good, and is a bit standoffish. He comes out of the bed colder, doesn't really speak to her in the morning, no cuddles, not the affection that she had experienced probably in the pods and the first day before they slept together. And Zanab is not happy about it, and I think it becomes clearer later on that Zanab also when she experiences issues or wants to confront a problem in the relationship, she becomes more passive aggressive. She doesn't want to actually speak up about it, which then highlights her immaturity.
100%.
So she wasn't lying when she said that they're on the same level of maturity. But I do think she's probably selling herself a bit short because he is incredibly immature.
Yeah.
And it became more apparent later on when they meet up with all the other couples. He meets Colleen for the first time and he's like, yeah, actually, you know what? Colleen would have been my type.
She's a bit me.
She's a bit of, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I think he had a conversation with Colleen about like, yeah, you would have been the kind of person I would have gone with in real life. Or she says in real life. And then he does tell Zanab. No, Zanab finds out.
Zanab, I think she
asks him, yeah. Or I think she asks him, like, is there any other girls that you found attractive? And he talks about Colleen.
Like, Colleen's fucking sexy.
Yeah. The same mistake, the same verbal diarrhea that Bartise was suffering from.
And is it coincidence they're both the youngest people on the show?
Exactly. Again, the case of the 25-year-old not ready for marriage. And I'm not saying that all 25-year-old men are not ready for marriage, because there are plenty that are married. Yeah. But it's just, for these two guys in particular, there's a level of maturity that they're just not up to yet to say, I want to get married.
I really hated that conversation because his energy was, what? Anyone who says they're not attracted to other people is a liar. I've got eyes and I'm saying Colleen's hot. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
The fact wasn't that you said that Colleen was hot. The fact was you didn't have that energy towards your wife.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were telling me I was a smoke show, I was the hottest person you've ever seen, when I walk into a room you're like, God damn, look at that body, I would not give a shit if you said another one was hot. Yeah. Because I know that you think I'm hot. Your energy towards Zanab is, we have a good connection. Yeah. Your energy towards Colleen is like, yeah, Colleen's my type of girl. Yeah. Colleen's the kind of girl I find attractive. Colleen, honestly, outside of here, I would hit on him immediately. I would still hit on Colleen right now if I could. That was the energy that he had. But he wanted Zanab to be like, that's really cool.
And then he gets annoyed and frustrated that Zanab keeps on going back to that conversation and saying, but you don't find me attractive, or you find Colleen attractive. What about me? What about me? What about me? And he's like, well, I chose you. I chose you in the pods. I said that, Zay, you're the only one I want to be with. Zay, I knew from your name, Zanab, that you're not going
to be hot like a girl like Lily. You're not going to look like a girl called Lily.
That really like infuriated me, because it was like, again, who do you think you are to feel like you have the power to be like, well, I'll just pick you. You're not my type. You're in this case, she's an ethnic minority. I'm just going to throw you a bone, type of thing. That was the perception I got.
He said, the energy I got was, I'm a very honourable person. Yeah. Because I chose you despite the fact that I knew that you probably wouldn't look like one of the girls I dated before. Yeah. And I don't know why you keep going on about this. Yeah. You should be thankful that I chose you.
And she's just like, nah, mate. And then she speaks to Matt. And we're going to talk about that when we go to Matt and Colleen. But she speaks to Matt, and Matt tells her, like, you could do so much better, basically. I mean, he didn't say it that many words, but...
Of all the couples, I think Zanab and Cole are the worst match.
Oh, I agree.
I think that what you were saying about maturity is so important. I think the way that Zanab is when she's got a problem is almost the exact antithesis to the way Cole is when he has a problem, and so it doesn't work. No. He looked at her, but she was trying to... After one of the reunions, they got into bed and they were talking, and he was like, I don't like you when you're mad. Yeah. I don't know if that's what you want to hear from someone that you already feel like isn't particularly attracted to you. Because then the energy, it feels like you have to be happy, go lucky all the time. You've got to jump, basically, you've got to jump through hoops to keep this man that you're in love with. I don't know what she's in love with at this point.
No. I think she...
I'm not seeing anything about this guy that would make me be like, I'm ready to risk it all.
Yeah, and I think like everyone in this experiment, they're loving the idea of being a fiance. They're loving the idea that they're going to get married. They're going to try on wedding dresses. They're going to prep for a wedding. They're not ready for the commitment afterwards. Not at all. And they're not having those conversations.
I also think that some of them are coming into this thinking of it as a game.
Oh, yeah.
Alexa makes a comment really early on, which is that like, we're the best couple. Me and Brennan are the best couple.
If it's competition.
Not that it's a competition, but if it was a competition, we'd be the best couple. And I was like, I'm getting that energy from all of you, weirdly. Everyone keeps asking for, where are you at in your relationship? Yeah. Where are you at? Where are you at in your relationship? Because, we've done this.
Yeah.
Like, talking about sex, we've done this, we couldn't keep our hands off each other. But he opens his conversation about Raven by saying Raven and SK haven't done anything. Yeah. They weren't even close to each other in bed. Imagine if I picked you in the pods and I didn't touch you. If I had Raven, I'd be all over her.
Oh my god, that grinded my gears. I mean, I know we've already spoken about them, but this is the thing about, and that was unprovoked. That my guy just released that information free of charge. I sat there going, oh, the producer must have asked him that question. Because the producers, they can be messy. The producers must have asked him, like, what would life have been had you and Raven got together? No, my guy was like, frilly nilly. Oh, had it been, if I had
frilly nilly.
Frilly nilly, yeah. Freaking nilly.
We are making merch that says frilly nilly.
Had that been me and Raven, I would have, I would be all over her. She'd be sitting on my lap. Shut up. Honestly,
Nilly is brilliant. By the way,
absolutely.
I almost forgot what the actual phrase was. I was like, maybe it is Willy Nilly.
But also, Cole is a chatty patty. Every single person, he's like, he would be there explaining the issues. I don't think I'm that attracted to her though. Oh, she's probably passive aggressive.
To everyone,
even Alexa.
You don't ask for. You don't ask anything. You're minding your own business. He'll walk up to you and be like, I don't like my girlfriend.
Exactly. And that's why Alexa's...
My fiance, not attracted to her. You're like, I don't need to know.
No. Alexa's sitting there going, he's just giving me all the tea that I didn't even ask for. He's giving me all this tea. I'm sitting here just wanting to find out how life is. And that is exactly what happened in Married at First Sight UK with George. And Can you imagine? No, this is why when he was talking to April, and April and him said, we're not going to talk about this cheating, like, kissing the girl in the hot tub. And the first thing George does is, she cheated on me. These guys, who are they picking? Honestly, it's the same person.
This is going to become my catchphrase on the podcast. We're going to have to make merch for it. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Men need to stop talking.
Wow, you really want to catch hands. You wear that top outside.
What man's going to touch me?
The ones that won't stop talking.
Exactly. I'll say this is exactly why I need the shirt, because you stop talking to me. I'm telling you. This is why there are some women who really hold their husband on a leash. In my head, I'm imagining it. I don't know why. But I have this head. I have like a still from a Hollywood film where this woman has got her husband by the shirt collar, and I'm like, this is how you have to hold them, because otherwise they're outside just talking. No, you sit here right next to me this whole night. Don't move from this chair, because I know if I leave you, I can't trust that you're not going to be making a fool of yourself and a fool of me. You don't always have to talk.
I know.
I know the irony of us two sitting on the podcast talking, but you don't have to talk. God. In this relationship, I do the talking, you do the sitting down.
Yeah.
You do the dishes. Make me a cup of tea, ho. Why are you talking?
I feel like that should be merch. Make me a cup of tea, ho.
Why are you talking so much?
No.
In life, you don't have to talk. No. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
In life, you actually don't have to talk. People, who have the energy of like, I want to be around them, they're a boss, all of that. They don't be talk.
There's a lot of chat. Talking of more.
I don't want to hear from someone else. My own business.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how Zanab found out about all the conversations with Cole and Colleen.
Telling me what my husband... We've already had this conversation and you didn't mention any of this. Now I'm hearing from someone else. So now I have to come back and ask you. Then when I come back and ask you, like, why are you bringing this up again? Because you lied to me the first time.
Yeah.
I gave you opportunity to tell me the whole story. You didn't tell me the whole story.
Yeah.
And then you're getting an attitude with me because I'll ask you what's the whole story.
Yeah. So...
they had a fight. I respected her for standing up for herself, but I also felt like that conversation was going in circles. And again, he managed, much like Bartise, to finagle this conversation into a way that he was the victim in it.
Yeah.
Stop! And then she had to say to him, you're the one who's got us in this situation because you opened your mouth to talk to Colleen and say those words. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So don't sit here and try and make me feel like I'm crazy for bringing it up again and that we should have moved past it. When you told me one thing, it's turned out to be something else.
Yeah.
I
don't understand where or how they're finagling or gaslighting these women.
Because they're too in it.
Yeah.
When you like someone too much, no matter what they say to you, you're like, well, he must have... No. You're in it too much. You cannot lose your head.
Yeah.
Never lose your head, girls. Never let them know your next move. Yeah, and don't lose your head. You can't lose your head. You need it.
You need it.
There are just so many couples. I don't know how we're going to fit them all into this episode. I think we're going to need a part 2.
Oh, yeah.
So stay tuned, girlies, because we have a part 2 coming where we get into the rest of the couples.
Yeah.
Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.
Bye.